indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Duff.
Here.
Dumont.
Here.
Here.
Ghaznegi. Here. McNutt.
Here.
Pedro.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
Do you have any additions to business?
We do not, thank you.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Don't have a whole lot of correspondence. Notice from the Michigan Public Service Commission that DTE is going to look for a recovery of funds, I guess. That's about it, so.
Motion to receive and file?
Second.
Motion by Dumont, second by Duff to receive and file correspondence. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. First call to the public. If anybody'd like to speak on agenda items only, if you could step up to the podium, state your name and address, and go from there. Anybody wishing to?
Tracy Hayner, I just have a question with regards to the.
On the mic.
Point of order.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta get up.
No, you're all right.
Give your
It's
name
okay.
and address. There's a microphone.
Sorry. Tracy Hayner, 2320 Solano. I just had a few questions about the Airbnbs. I mean, I read the initial proposals, but I initially had a conversation and I was just wondering, are they limiting how many they're having in the village? And if so, like,
We will be speaking on
Okay.
that. It's an agenda item, so we'll probably fill you in on that when time's up. Anybody else? Seeing none?
Motion closed?
Never motion, actually,
Open
never
and
motion to
close?
open,
Yeah.
so we'll just move by. Consent agenda,
Motion.
Second.
motion to approve I'm taking. Motion by Duff, second by Dumont to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion on that? Roll call vote, please.
Jeremy.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
Pedro.
Yes.
Dumont.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Ghaznegi. Yes.
Okay, we're on to board appointments. First recommendation is council report Molly Ingraham and Linda Schwartz to the Parks and Rec Board with terms expiring 12/31 of 2026.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Duff. Second. Second by Jeremy. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item B, recommendation council reappoint Ryan Martini and James Sparks Jr. to the Water Management Board with terms expiring 12/31 of 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dumont, second by Duff. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries on that. We're on to A, 10A, presentations and updates from our engineering. And Mr. Powell's not here, but his daughter Michelle is, so.
Yeah,
With that.
so we have a few updates. We'll start with Wolverine Drive. As you guys know, you guys have awarded the bid to A&J Excavating. They have ordered all of the materials. We actually just spoke with them today. They are hoping to start early to mid-December. Unfortunately, there's a wait time for all of the piping and structures and everything. So we had to wait for that 6 to 8 week time frame. He is expecting them to get them early to mid-December, and he's ready to go right away. So that, depending on how, hopefully that will only take about 2 weeks to complete both sections of that. So that's the goal right now. So, but otherwise we'll be up and ready to go with those as soon as the pipe and structures get in. The road striping. There's a number of crosswalks throughout the village as well as Wolverine Drive that never got finished from the road paving project in 2022. And we've been back and forth with multiple different contractors. One of the paving contractors raised their rates like crazy. So we ended up going with the road commission's painting contractor. Unfortunately, they had too much on their plate. Mr. Gillum did a great job in calling the road commission and kind of putting the road commission on their backs to get them out there. I did speak with Matthew, who is the director of the scheduling, and he did tell me they would be out there this week. So they're gonna call me as soon as they get out there, and we'll make sure that they get everything done. Hopefully it'll just take them a day or 2 days to get it done. So unfortunately, I can't guarantee that because I'm not the one doing it, and they've told us 4 times now that they'd be out within the week, but this time there's a little bit higher up telling us that, so hopefully we'll see them within the next week. So, anyways, if there are any questions, I'm ready to answer them, but those are updates on both of those items.
Does that paint or the road have to be at a particular temperature as it gets cooler?
Well, the type of paint that we're using, that we're speccing out, it's a longer lasting paint, it's an acrylic. So no, not necessarily, but the roads do have to be dry for it. So unfortunately, we have had a very wet fall, and that was part of the reason that PK Contracting gave me for the long time that it's taking them, because they've got supposedly a lot of construction sites that are actually past due because of the rain, and so they've got a backlog, and they kind of put us back to the backlog apparently. So yes, they should be able to do it even if it's colder, but it does have to be dry.
Is there a point where we'd be better off waiting till the spring because the paint would adhere better?
I don't believe so with the materials. I do know that they do stop when it's really sub-zero temperatures, but when it gets warm, when the roads stay warm longer than the air does, so we'd still be fine. They still are allowing some asphalt to go down. So if we can get it done within the next couple of weeks, we're totally fine.
It's gonna be warm enough in the next couple of weeks anyways.
Right.
No precipitation coming up, so.
So we will definitely be wary of that though, and make sure that it's not, and they are putting it down during decent weather and dry weather so that it lasts. And removing the leaves in front of them so that the leaves don't get all of it. So,
That's true, we could have striped leaves.
yeah. So,
Nice leaf pattern.
Okay, anything else, Michelle?
not unless you have any questions.
When's the crack sealing gonna be?
Crack sealing, A&R, I assume that they'll be out doing it in the next few weeks. We did award that to them. I need to call and check on that because I have not heard back from them. So that is a great question. I will let David know, and we can let you guys know when the crack sealing will be done.
They've been out on my street, I can tell you that already. So,
Yeah,
I don't know about other parts of the village, but they have done the northeast corner, so.
usually they just let us know when they're done with them, and then we go out and measure them to verify the linear footage. So,
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else?
Just wanted to thank Michelle and her office, her staff, the last week or so, they've been kind of bulldogs with the striping company, so. and-
we did also get a few other bids, just in case PK doesn't come through. Unfortunately, both the other contractors that we got quotes from, they would not be able, it's very unlikely that they would be able to do it this year. One of them gave a 50-50 chance, and the other one said not a chance, so.
Well, with the amount of road work that's going on right now, and labor is still tight, it's still a son of a gun trying to get people, so I can understand that. So,
We had a couple of residents that were calling the office wondering what was going on, so I suggested maybe they reach out to the road commission, which they did. So whether or not that made a difference, it's hard to say, but I thank the residents that
Didn't hurt.
stepped up to it. It certainly doesn't hurt, that's right.
Yeah, squeaking tends to get the grease.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Moving on along. We have a public hearing for program year 2024 Community Development Block Grant Funding Allocations.
Motion to open?
Second.
Motion by Duff to open, and Dumont the second to open the public hearing.
Correct.
Anybody want to speak on CDBG funding? Sure, it's exciting, but, okay.
Motion to close?
Motion to close by
Second.
Duff, second by Dumont. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We're through the public hearing that we had tonight. Next item is Program 2024 Community Development Block Grant Funding Allocations. And we have little memorandum that our administrator put together. Dave, you want to go ahead and take off on that?
Sure. Just by way of background for everyone, we've gotten word from the county that for the upcoming year, for 2024, that although the figures haven't been finalized, that we should expect the minimum threshold allocation, the $7,000 that we've gotten for the last several years in block grant funding is what we should be getting for next year as well. The public hearing that we just held was required under federal law and regulation to provide public the opportunity to provide us with input as to how the money should be spent. I put together the memo indicating some background information. What's different this year is that the federal guidelines, according to the county, have changed now, and on a statewide basis, the overall amount of money that can be spent on what are considered to be public service agencies has been reduced. In our case, what that really translates to is the fact that in the past couple of years, we split our $7,000 equally between Haven to provide support for domestic abuse victims and their families, and sexual assault victims, and then also money to Lake Superior Youth Assistance to support their programs there. Both very worthwhile programs, but the way the guidelines have changed now, we're only in a position where we can allocate our block grant funding to one of the two. So for the reasons I've indicated in here, basically for bookkeeping reasons, I'm recommending that we allocate $3,500 to Haven, as we have in the past, and the other $3,500 I'm recommending that we allocate to the county's housing rehabilitation program.
Which we've done in the past.
Which we've also done in the past, yes. It's the last couple of years that we've taken the money from the rehab program and sent it to Leah. But again, this year, we can't do that with the block grant funding. As I indicated in the memo, this doesn't mean that we can't support Leah next year. I mean, I would hope that we still will, but it just means that we can't use block grant funds to do it. So
Right.
we've got a resolution, recommended resolution that's contained in the memo. I would ask that you move on the resolution today.
Pre-recommended resolution.
Motion by Dumont, second by Duff. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
O'Brien.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
Gendro.
Yes.
Dumont.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Grisnicki.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Moving on to B, Parks and Rec Board. Request council to amend maximum number of members in Parks and Rec Board from 9 to 11 members. So I guess, Mark, maybe you can give us a reason why.
Well, Parks and Rec has got the good fortune of having a surplus of applicants lately, and in the last few years, as Parks and Rec has expanded its offerings to the public in terms of events and taken on more things to do with the parks and trying to implement the master plan, it's just become a point where the work has become a little stretched for the current membership level, and having some additional members to share the load and who are motivated to help in the community would make a great difference in being able to do all the things that Parks and Rec does.
I guess my concern on it is, it would be an ordinance amendment, and then if we do change it, what happens in a couple of years when you don't get the community support for people that want to be on it, and then you don't have enough members to fill?
That's
And
just a
that-
maximum number, it's not a minimum. It's a maximum.
You still have a quorum you have to meet.
Well, if we don't have,
That's
if you don't
true. That's
have,
true.
You have to have,
That's true.
the board is supposed to have that many members on it at that point.
but if the board only has, say, 7 active members, you only need 7 or 50% of that to make a quorum.
You're supposed to have a full board, though, by ordinance.
Yeah,
So-
yes,
And there's there's no reason why somebody can't serve on a board without being a board member. That's all I'm saying. So, I mean,
You know,
there's a lot of volunteers that help on.
I would also point that for the majority of the last 5 years, Parks and Rec has operated without a planning liaison, so they've been at 8 members for most of that time, and operated without issue, without any kind of violations of the ordinance or anything like that. But in this case, it's a matter of now that we do have people who want to help and be involved, you know, there is a value to people being able to say, yeah, I am a member of that board, and things like that as well. So
Like I
It
said,
should have come
you
to
can always
that.
volunteer for it, but I mean.
It should have come down to that in a few
It's
years.
council's pleasure, I guess.
And if council, and if, say, in 4 years, all of a sudden can't fill 11 seats, then that ordinance can also be amended then as well, if that's the case. But in this case, we're at a point where, with the work we're doing, with the things we're producing, and with the very, positive responses and enrichment of the community, having additional board members who are then have a reason to be further reason to be engaged because they are active members, because they
Voting
are official
members.
members, that can go a long way towards keeping that commitment and keeping that desire to be a part of the board. And the
Mark, so if
community.
you had like ad hoc boards around your board, then your concern is they won't feel, because they're non-voting members, they're less likely to stick around because they'll feel less apart?
Yes, I think there's a great value to actually being on the board. Just in my experience, it's those who were previously on the board that then tend to stay around even after they've stepped down because they've already been a part of it, as opposed to them coming in and then helping out and then not. So, for example, Phil Peters, for over a decade was a critical part of Parks and Rec, but he had been a member. And that happened with Kelly Cycle. She stepped down, but stayed out, helped out for another year because she understood that. On the other hand, we don't tend to have people coming in just wanting to help out. They, generally speaking, I want to be a part of the board. I want to, and maybe it's part of it's, the experience and the ability to learn things in the board that helps to go a long way to keeping them.
Well, I know some of the other boards, we've had a hard time keeping members on, and that's part of the reason why you haven't had a liaison from planning, is we've had a hard time trying to keep enough members on the planning commission. Water board's finally got full again, I think, right? We're close to it, but,
Well, depending upon how the attendance breaks out for the year, but yeah. so.
that's the other thing, is people that have to show up at meetings too.
Yeah.
So I know there's quite a few times people don't make meetings, and I think that's probably a couple of reasons why there's not people that are reappointed to the boards. But
You have some people waiting in the wings right now that don't have a
Yes.
seat, correct?
Correct,
And is that one of the problems that you're trying to solve?
yes.
And how many spots do you have open?
What,
You have 2 people available?
currently?
Okay. So going from, you're still going to be 1 short if you go to 11 though, right?
For now, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll make the motion, and then we can discuss it, that our Parks and Rec board move from its current 9-member board to an 11-member board, as recommended by the Parks and Rec board,
We have to change the amendment.
and that would be an ordinance amendment.
I got a quick, do you feel if there's no board position open, that those people that want to be on the board would volunteer?
It still hasn't been seconded.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Dumont, second by Jeremy. Discussion.
I think they would probably hang around, but I think there's that tendency to fall off when you're not able to provide your input and vote on certain things, and whether it's something as simple as a decorating contest, which they would not be able to vote on, or
But they can still provide
having,
input though, right?
having
Yeah.
critical input on things. Again, I just think there is a lot of value to sitting up here rather than sitting in the crowd in terms of how they feel about being engaged in these kinds of things.
Anybody else? Other questions, comments?
I don't think so. That was unanimous across your board, right?
Yes.
Well, guess we have a motion and a second, so let's vote on it.
McNutt,
Yeah.
Nedrow, Nedrow,
No?
Dumont,
Yes.
Duff,
No.
Kaznecki,
Yes.
Jeremini,
Yes.
O'Brien,
No.
5-4 passes, or 4-3, right? Motion passes. Okay, now we need an ordinance amendment, right? So, we need a motion to amend that ordinance? Is that what we need?
Yes, to direct the village attorney to draft the ordinance amendment? Yes.
So moved.
Motion by Dumont, second by Kaznecki. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Well, that's a done deal. Next item, the beautification committee recommends to release budgeted funds for $1,000 for spring beautification projects no later than March 25th.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont. Any discussion on that? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
O'Brien,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Kaznecki,
Yes.
Jeremini,
Yes.
Okay, item D, which is the introduction and first reading of the ordinance to adopt or modify, I guess, housing ordinance for short-term rentals.
Motion to introduce?
Second.
Motion by Dumont, second by Duff to introduce. Any discussion? We've had some people in the audience, I'm sure there's more than one here probably tonight regarding this, so. Maybe Jennifer, would you like to go through kind of what our basis is on this?
Sure. Well, this discussion started several months ago, in how the village wanted to regulate short-term rentals. There was some audience members that had appeared at a council meeting and with complaints about short-term rentals, so village council decided that it was appropriate to look at that issue. They kind of went back and forth with whether or not they were going to require inspections and certifications or just registration. And ultimately, that's where they landed on the registration and maintaining a log, really, of short-term rentals. So there's a list of, I guess, standards and regulations, it's called. Items like parking, trash disposal, pets, where people can sleep, not in an attic space, not in a basement, items of that nature. And then the last meeting, or maybe it was a work session, it was decided that the number that the village felt was appropriate for its population and density, the limitation on the number of short-term rentals in the village would be 8. So that number has been inserted into the ordinance, and today is an introduction of that ordinance.
We can open.
Motion open.
Second.
Motion by Dumont, second by, or Duff, second by Dumont to open the public. So, anybody, yeah, go ahead. If you could, or we got a mic right here you can use if you want.
How many short-term rentals are there right now?
Yeah, we think there's at least
We're
five.
aware of 5. that
I'm
are-
sorry, Tracy Hayner, 2320 Solano. How many short-term rentals are there right now?
We're aware of 5 that are registered with Airbnb or VVRO. So-
What made you determine that there would only be 8 in the village?
We kind of thought we would walk before we ran.
Mhm.
That there was still, there would be openings for 3 more. And we can always go back and increase that if there's no issues.
I was just, so, like, some Airbnbs, like, instead of having it year-round just an Airbnb, like if you're gone to Florida for 4 months and you wanted to Airbnb your house, is that considered still in the 8 for the year?
Actually, by this
You know what I
ordinance,
mean?
by this ordinance,
Yeah.
we're saying 30 days or less. So
Okay.
if actually you're going to be renting out or leasing out for over 30 days, then it wouldn't technically fall under
To the
this,
same
the
tenant.
short-term rental.
Okay, I was just curious.
Anybody else?
Motion to
Seeing
close.
none.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont to close the public. Okay. Anybody else on council have any discussion or questions on it? I mean, yeah, we discussed it pretty good. And I think this is pretty much what we've had on thoughts, so.
I think a lot of work has gone into it, and I think for what we're doing, I think it's a really good way to start. I'm really happy with it.
Okay, with that,
Roll call.
yep, let's do a roll call to introduce.
Pedro,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Biznaki,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Okay, and then next month, we will be moving forward. That'll be the second reading and adoption.
Correct. And then after publication, so then the ordinance will become effective late December, early January.
First of the year, basically,
Something
yeah.
like that, yeah.
Okay, with that, item E is Clara Miller Park grant update.
Council, we had discussion back in September about the responses that we had received to the bids for the Clara Miller Park project. At that time, council had made the decision to reject the bids, to go back, take another look at the proposal and the specifications to see if there was any way that we could trim it down and potentially reduce the overall cost, because we were fairly significantly over budget at that point in time. Jason McDonald, our prime professional, who's here with us tonight, he and I had some additional discussion. Jason reached out to some people he knew, got some feedback, talked to some people in the industry, also, I believe, to some of the companies that had submitted bids to get their thoughts on what our options might be. And based upon that, then we had some discussion. I gave an update basically as to some things that we could do to potentially reduce the cost in terms of switching from the porous concrete to porous pavers, to potentially pulling some of the smaller pieces of playground equipment out of the proposal, and third, to doing a direct purchase on the remaining playground equipment. So Jason did some homework on that, and then based upon all the information that he had received, he prepared the revised playground layout plan, which reflects the changes in the plans and specifications from the earlier bid proposal that we had sent out. So that's kind of a view from 10,000 feet. Jason, I don't know if you want to fill in some of the blanks or add some of the information here.
I think that pretty much covers it, at least level setting where we are today.
Can I get you to just step to the podium for the recording,
Yeah.
please?
I think, as I was saying, I think that pretty much covers it, level sets where we stand today. We took another crack at the numbers, this time using the numbers that we just recently received from the three bidders, averaging those out, plugging those in. I will say, based on our initial estimate, I think you could probably, in the end, you'll see around $55,000 to $60,000 in savings. That's removing, most of that savings comes from removing those two smaller pieces of play equipment, and the big savings comes from removing a portion of the rubber surfacing on the playground that we had. That is very, very expensive stuff. And so it also eliminates a little bit of excavation. You see some savings there. And if you can see in the plan, I trimmed out some of the sidewalk that led over to the permeable paver sidewalk that led over to the concessions and restroom area. That also adds to the savings as well. I will say, it doesn't always happen if something goes out to rebid that the prices will go low. Contractors are flush with work. They're not, I don't think they're desperate for work, I don't think, but one thing we will do is we'll kind of cast a wider net to try and get more contractors bidding, trying to get the competition going. The plan is to put it on BidNet, which is, I spoke to some of the contractors and they said, if you want any contractor to see it, that's the place to go. We'll be posting it on BidNet. for sure. We'll be contacting people individually, try and drum up as many bids as we can to try and hopefully drive the cost a little bit lower.
Great.
Now, in 3 years or so, if we wanted to, we could pull that EWF section out and put in the
Additional
permanent material.
playground equipment?
Absolutely, yeah. And in fact, the engineered wood fiber, that could stay if you wanted. You just need to have it a foot deep. And that's way less expensive than the poured-in-place rubber. But if you wanted to do the rubber, yep, you would just scrape that out, you would put your play equipment in, and then you could resurface and match it up to the existing rubber surfacing.
That sounds like a good way to go at this point.
So when do you think the bids will go out?
Well, we have to first send it back to the state for their review. I don't anticipate that would take too long. We've spoken to the grant administrator. She said typically when she receives packages back for a rebid, she'll put them at the top of the pile. They don't always get to the next day, but I don't anticipate it'll be long. I'm hoping to get the bid package back out, working with Paul and Associates, hopefully right at the beginning of the year, or if not even before the beginning of the year, for a construction start in the spring, whenever they can break ground in the spring.
That was my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, when we had talked before, you had said that in terms of the actual construction itself, that work really shouldn't take that long.
No, not at all. It really isn't a big job. Probably the longest thing there would be putting up the play equipment. A qualified crew could do that less than 2 weeks. And then the flat work there, or I guess it's now paver work, would take a week. And then the one thing that's kind of time dependent or time sensitive is the rubber surfacing. You need to have temperatures of 50 degrees and rising throughout the day. You can't be 40 at night and 50 during the day. So they have to wait for a specific time to put that rubber surfacing down so it can cure properly. Yeah, but overall combined time, if there were no weather delays, this project would be less than a month.
Because we're really supposed to have the project completed by, the end of next June or July?
July, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do offer extensions, trust fund grants. They're historically have offered extensions because they understand some of these roadblocks that people run into. But if we can avoid it, we want to avoid asking for that extension. But we've already spoken to Mary Carlock, and she said if you need it, she can help us with that extension.
Opinion, go ahead, move forward with what we have. I think that's a good way to go.
All right.
Trim
Thank you.
quite a bit out of it. Yeah, good job. Okay.
Just
Yep,
a follow-up comment, just to remind council too. I haven't forgotten, we haven't forgotten, we still have the playground equipment out in the barn for Armenia Park. And the thinking is that once we line up a contractor to do the work here, apart from the grant process, I intend to approach them and see if, while they're here doing the work over at Clara Miller, they've got the resources on site, if they could also put the equipment over at Clara Miller Park and maybe realize some cost savings there. So, and I've already had conversation with Andy Stone and the DPW, and in terms of doing prep work out at this site, he said that's no problem for his guys. So, again, we haven't forgotten about Armenia Park. So.
Thank you. Okay, we're at the second call of the public, so it's an opportunity for anybody to speak on anything. As far as that goes, if anybody wants to, let's open the public.
Motion open?
Motion by Duff. Second by Dumont to open the public. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Hi, Kathy Corrales, 2533 Marshar. Just representing our neighborhood, and just wanted to thank the council for being open to listening to us earlier this year about our concerns, and also wanted to express our appreciation for the ordinance that you've put together. I was at the working session. I was able to watch the meeting last month, and I did hear feedback from some Airbnb owners that they thought it was reasonable, and I think, I'm not an Airbnb owner, I'm a neighbor, but it seems to me that I think it strikes a nice balance for both the Airbnb owners, operators, and for the neighbors that are adjacent. So again, I just would like to express our appreciation to all of you
Thank you.
and actually for how quickly it moved through. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? Seeing none?
Motion to close?
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by Dumont. Close the public, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Hey, do we want to set topics for next,
I'm going to make
2
a
weeks.
motion that we forego it.
Second.
don't want to go the day before Thanksgiving, huh?
Not at all.
That's a motion.
Second.
Second by the two over there. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, okay. I don't believe we have any pending business, do we?
We do not, no.
Update from Police Chief Ellsworth.
Just a couple things. I'm wrapping up.
Give it back to him.
Student becomes the teacher.
Just a couple things. Obviously, as I close my tenure, I'm kind of looking at wrapping up some open-ended things. And one of the things was make sure all of our equipment was up and running. And we refurbished the batteries on our radar signs this month. And thank you to the DPW for putting in the effort to do that. But during that time, I spent, many of you might have seen me sitting alongside the road for 2.5 hours while those downloaded, because I actually can hook to those through the Bluetooth. And so I downloaded all the information off of that and was rather surprised at the amount of traffic that goes down both Glengarry and Benstein. I'm going to give you some numbers on eastbound Glengarry it's a year. Now, I went back to January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, because the sign worked continually. The last year and a half, the sign was intermittent, probably because of the batteries and then the sunshine and different things.
Mhm.
So, in 2021, eastbound Glengarry, in that year, we had 712,529 cars. That's just eastbound. Westbound, we had 694,000, so 1.4 million cars down Glengarry for the year. I thought that was pretty impressive. Until I got to Benstein. And northbound on Benstein, we had 1,604,000 cars going northbound, and 1,465,000 cars southbound, for a total of over 3 million cars
That was back to 21.
in 21. Hopefully with this construction that's been going on through 23, that they've avoided that.
Diverted some properties, yeah.
But it's something to be keeping an eye on, because obviously as the building continues to go on north of us, we're going to continue with that. Saying that, with all the traffic flows through here, our patrols have been able to keep up, and our accidents are far, far below average. So I'm very pleased with that. And, but I was a little surprised by the numbers, and me and Mr. Gillum have had many conversations about that, but I'm sure that the people on Benstein know how many cars go by because they hear every one of them, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. But other than that, it's, you guys, everybody have a great Thanksgiving and good luck deer hunting.
Thank you, Chief.
And battery day.
Yeah. Treasurer Hanson.
Not much to report in our department. We were working on the audit and met with Rena last week, and we've got a couple more meetings that we're going to have, and so that's pretty much it for us. Getting ready for the year end, and I guess I just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Our Administrator, Mr. Gillum.
Well, I'll start with our favorite subject around the village hall right now, which is leaf pickup. And just to thank all the residents for their cooperation and also ask them for their patience. Today is Wednesday. We started on Monday up in the north side of the village. The village's refuse hauler, GFL, both Monday and yesterday had equipment problems. So we lost probably half a day on Monday because they had to take a truck back out to their garage in Pontiac. to have it serviced. We lost about a half a day yesterday when there were more problems, and the driver had to go back to Pontiac again. Today, knock on wood, we made it through a whole day without any problems, but as a result of the time that we lost, we're about a day behind right now. The estimates that the DPW has done and the signage that's posted has really been spot on so far, but we've lost a day because of the equipment problem. So just ask everybody to keep that in mind. When you do see the signs posted, get your leaves out to the side of the road as quickly as possible for your neighborhood. It is possible, I mean, I realize we just said we're a day behind. It is possible that the trucks might get through early. They might come through before the date that's posted. But if they do, and you don't have your leaves out at the street, don't say, well, I missed this round, I'm gonna have to wait to the next round, because then what will happen is the guys will come back through on the scheduled date. So for example, if your neighborhood is posted for Wednesday, they come through on Tuesday, they'll pick up what's there, but they'll still come back on Wednesday to pick up what's there on Wednesday.
Good.
So just when you see the signs, go ahead and get all your leaves out to the side of the road. It sounds like somebody mentioned before, the weather's going to be pretty good for the next week or 10 days. So hopefully by the first part of next week, maybe middle of next week, we'll be completely through the first round. As we get further into the first round, we'll make some decisions as to when we'll post for the second round. So just watch for the signs, postings on the stop sign at the openings to your neighborhood.
I think there's been a lot of the leaves have already dropped this year.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of them dropped first
Yeah.
run here, so.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple maple trees in the back of my yard on the lakeside that are, other than the oak trees, that are about the last trees to drop their leaves, and they started today. It was like raindrops falling back there. So with any luck, maybe the bulk of the leaves will get picked up the first time through. But again, just watch the signs. Thanks for your patience. If you have questions, feel free to give the Village Hall a call.
Have we had many complaints?
We've had some, yes.
I was just curious.
Yeah, we had some.
Curious
Part of the confusion has been because we're a little bit behind schedule now.
Mhm.
So, that's why I kind of gave the explanation about the postings with the signs. So I talked on the phone this afternoon with a woman who, her sub was posted for Monday. And she saw that they didn't come through on Monday, so she didn't bother to get the rest of her leaves out. Well, they came through today because they're a little bit behind. So again, once you see that your sub's been posted, get the leaves out there, and we'll get them.
Yeah, and I did get the email blast that went out to everybody too on the email list, and that's always a nice thing to be able to alert people that, you know, the equipment had issues and that we were delaying things a little bit, so. If you're not signed up for an email list, please do.
Yeah,
That's helpful.
it's a good time for a plug, to get more
Yeah.
people that if you know your neighbors don't have email,
Or Facebook.
yeah,
On
yeah,
the Facebook
please
page.
sign up for email.
And we've gotten a number of calls from people on the south and the southeast side of the lake, wondering when the pickup is going to be because the signs haven't been posted. Well, the reason the signs haven't been posted in those neighborhoods yet is because we've been behind in the other areas.
Not sure when
And
it's
we
gonna
want to
happen.
make sure, we want the postings to be accurate when we put them up. So, given the progress that we made today, I think the rest of the south side of the lake anyway will probably get posted later this week. So again, just watch for the signs, get your leaves out, and we'll get them taken care of. Other than that, Saturday is Veterans Day. I want to thank all of our veterans for their service. Wish everybody a happy Veterans Day. Good luck to the deer hunters in the group. Hope everyone has a happy and safe Thanksgiving. And also thoughts and wishes to Mrs. Ellsworth tonight, who had some outpatient surgery today, and as I understand, she's home recovering, and hopefully she'll start to feel better quickly. Just a reminder too, we have an administrative committee meeting after the regular council meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Council comments. Let's go, Mark, I guess, first.
December 9th is Snacks with Santa. It's already being advertised. If you plan on attending, call early because it tends to sell out pretty quickly. And especially Happy Veterans Day. In respect to that, the newest bricks from Veterans Memorial have been installed. So if you ordered a brick in the last round, they are in the memorial somewhere. If you have any questions, please email at veteransmemorial@wolverinelake.com and I'll let you know where it is. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody and good luck hunting.
Thank you. Mike?
Thank you to veterans and happy Thanksgiving.
Bill?
John, I hope your wife is feeling better soon, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Dave?
I'll have to say the same thing.
Mark?
Happy Thanksgiving, good luck hunting, be safe. If you're traveling anywhere for Thanksgiving, be safe when you're in your journey. John, your wife rebounds quick, and that's it.
Okay, Tam?
Ditto. I can't add anything more to that. I hope Deb's feeling better, and I agree with you. If you're going to be traveling, or if you're going to be home, or you're going to have people over, please be safe and make sure your turkey's cooked well.
For the members of the village's different boards and committees, you should have gotten the email from the office upstairs, but yeah, we have set the date for this year's appreciation dinner, which will be on Tuesday, December
6th.
5th, yeah. Again, over at Zerbo's Bistro. So if you haven't RSVP'd yet, please do so as soon as possible, so we can get the county into the restaurant.
And I guess I'll say safe hunting to everybody. Have a very safe and enjoyable Thanksgiving. And thanks to the beautification committee who's done a nice job this summer and fall. I know they're planning on putting some stuff up for have put some stuff out for Thanksgiving and Halloween, and they're going to be doing some stuff for end of the year and then again next spring. So also thanks to everybody that showed up and donated to the packing party for the troops. We packed about 276 boxes, I think it was, close to that, and there's a couple stragglers maybe yet. But it was a little different this year than in the past year, and it was a little more difficult. I didn't realize I was going to get all the boxes back in my garage afterwards, but it all worked out, and it was a good thing to do again. So hopefully we'll have more donations next year. It was down this year. I think probably a lot of people didn't realize that we have that many troops out, but with everything going on in the world right now, they could use us any more than anybody else. So, other than that, I think that's about it for me. So,
Motion to adjourn?
motion by Duffs,
Second.
second by Dumont, amazingly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Good night.